Now that you've learned how to enter notes, I'll show you a few tricks of how to edit and add things like expression, dynamics, and your accents. For this assignment, it's okay to handwrite dynamics and things if that's too difficult. But if you'd like to add them with the computer, I'll show you how to do that. So over on this side, we figured out how to add notes. There's lots of other things over here as well, and we're going to look for dynamics. So underneath dynamics, these are all the dynamics that we need. Make sure your piece has a starting dynamic. So we need to know how loud to be at the start. My finger symbols, I think I'll have piano, so I'll take the piano and I'll drag it. And it won't stay unless you put it right where you want it, underneath the note. You could put it here. MuseScore will let it put it here, but that's not right, because underneath the note where you want it to change. If I wanted to change to forte here, I'll put it underneath that note, and there we go. So you need to put that under each staff. Each instrument needs dynamics at some point from the beginning and probably needs to change. If you want to add a crescendo or a decrescendo, they are lines, so MuseScore puts them under lines. So I'll grab a crescendo and I'll put it in just about there. I might want my crescendo to be a little bit longer than that, so if I double click on it, I get the option to drag it out and make it a little bit longer. It might be that I don't want that crescendo to start until a bit later, so I'll start it here. And there's my crescendo, and I can move that around as I need to. If you want to put an accent on a note, I'll just hide this away so I don't get confused. Then I want to put articulation and ornaments. Big fancy words for the extras, the extra bits that you put on the notes. Here's your staccato, and hopefully if you hover over it, yes, it tells you it's staccato. So if I want to put a staccato on a note, I actually have to drag it onto the note. The note becomes red and says, yes, I know that you want a staccato there. So I might put a couple of staccato there. And if I want to put an accent on a note, perhaps where I have the forte for extra force, I'll choose the accent and do the same thing. Drag it across to the note I want to accent, and it hooks it up to the note. Remember, you need to accent individual notes, where a crescendo can go over several notes. I think I might want that crescendo to be a little bit longer after all, so I'll double click on it. Okay, so most of the things that you need are over here. If you want to save a little bit of time with your notes, if you're going to use some of the compositional devices like Canon or other sorts of repetition, you can actually select a whole bar and copy it. Instead of, if I click on a single note, it turns blue, but if I want a whole bar, I find a place where there isn't a note, and I get the whole bar. I can right-click then and copy, or I can use the shortcut Control-C. Then I go over to the next bar and use the shortcut to paste, Control-V, or I choose paste like that, and I get exactly the same thing, including the accent that I put in there. Of course, exact repetition is not something we like, so I'm going to take that accent and put it somewhere else. If I do that, sometimes people forget and leave their accents in outer space. It's much better to just highlight it and get rid of it. Somehow cut it so that it's gone, and then put your accent in where you want it. I might decide to move things around, so if I select this and then hold Shift and select this one, I get that beat. So I might cut it, and it leaves a rest there because there has to be something to fill that space. There has to be 4 notes. Maybe I'll replace what I've got here and I'll paste it in that place. And there it is, and I'm changing my ideas around. Maybe I want a whole bar of this, so I'll click and then I'll shift click and copy it again. And over here, I'll paste it in this bar. It only pasted in the first beat, so I'll paste it again on the second beat. I'll paste it again on the next rest. The rest will always be there, at least I hope to. The rest will always be there filling the space. Don't ever delete a rest. And it's okay, but this is a bit funny looking. So I'm going to get rid of that by changing my beam properties so that my beams are separate the way that I like to see them. Again, if you've forgotten how to flip your note stems upside down, X will flip your note stems and put them right. Now if I really wanted this rhythm, if I like this rhythm a lot, I can copy it, and I can copy it into one of the other instrument parts because imitation is such a great idea. I might put it in my second bar of the snare while I'm trying to figure out what to do with the other bars. But when you paste it, because it's a different instrument, it'll end up looking a bit different. It'll end up looking as if it's too high or too low. So as soon as you paste it in, use your down arrows. And you can go down and click down again until it looks right. If you go too far, it might give you a different note head. We don't want X note heads. Just click the down arrow until it looks the way we want. I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to put it right at the beginning of my bass drum and really challenge my bass drum player. And now it's way too low. So all I do is press my up arrow until it looks the way that I want it to look. So now I've got my motif copied here, imitated here, and oops, seems to be imitated down here as well. Once you put all your notes in, you can go back and fix the layout of things. I've actually found that because we put so many notes in for this composition, that in the end it looks better if you go to landscape view, because you can squeeze everything in. So if I can remember where the preferences are, I'll go in and I'll save this in the layout. There we go, it must be in there. In page settings, and I'll change my page settings so that I am in landscape, and I'll have a clearer looking score. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then don't worry about this being too tiny, because as soon as I start putting notes in there, I wonder if it remembers what I last put in. As soon as I start putting in notes, arrow up, then it will space that out for you, and it should be alright. Anything that you want to change, if you misspelled your name, you can just double click on it and change it. And I think that's just about it.